Leo lived in the quiet corners of the world, where silence was his only companion, and the days drifted by like slow-moving clouds. He longed for something beautiful, something that would break through the stillness and fill his life with meaning. Each evening, as dusk settled, he would sit by his window, watching the world outside, feeling the ache of emptiness and the hope that someday, something extraordinary would find him. His desire was for a painting, The Girl with the Starlight Eyes, a work whispered about in hushed tones for the feeling it gave you, a sense of wonder, a quiet magic that lingered long after you looked away. It was more than just art. It was a window into another world, a place where dreams and reality blurred. The painting was a small portrait of a young girl, her eyes filled with what looked like tiny, captured stars. Those eyes seemed to follow you, sparkling with secrets and silent stories, as if she held the universe within her gaze. People said you could lose yourself in them, and Leo believed it. Every Tuesday, for a year, Leo visited the city's smallest museum. The halls were always quiet, the air tinged with the scent of old wood and varnish. Sitting alone on a bench, he would let the peace wash over him, feeling the weight of the world lift as he gazed at the painting. It became his ritual, a sacred moment of stillness in a restless life. The artist, Ilara Vesper, was said to have mixed starlight into her paint, capturing the shimmer of the night sky in every brushstroke. Some called it a myth, but Leo cherished the story, imagining her working late into the night, gathering fragments of stars to bring her vision to life. Leo believed this story with all his heart, and slowly, the idea of taking the painting began to grow in his mind. It started as a whisper, a fleeting thought, but soon it became a constant presence, impossible to ignore. He imagined it hanging on his own wall, her gaze just for him, a silent companion in the lonely hours. The thought brought him comfort, a sense of belonging he had never known. He pictured the painting as the heart of his home, a source of light in the darkness. A plan began to form, born of desperation and misguided love. Night after night, he sat at his desk, scribbling notes and tracing the layout of the museum, his heart pounding with fear and excitement. Leo wasn't a master thief, just a man with a copied key and trembling courage. His hands shook as he rehearsed the steps in his mind, torn between guilt and longing. He told himself it wasn't stealing, it was a rescue. He convinced himself that the painting deserved more than a silent wall in a forgotten museum. It deserved to be cherished, to be loved. He imagined giving her a place where she would be cherished above all else, where her starlit eyes would never be lonely again. In his mind, he was her savior, not her thief. This lie was the key that would unlock more than just the museum door. It would open a path he could never return from, a journey into the unknown. It would unlock a part of himself he never knew existed, a part capable of crossing lines for the sake of beauty, for the hope of connection. The painting became his obsession, a dream he couldn't let go, a secret longing that consumed his every thought. It was as if the girl with the starlight eyes had cast a spell on him, binding his heart to hers. And so, with trembling hands and a heart full of longing, Leo decided to act on it, stepping into the night, ready to change his life forever. The night of the theft was thick with nervous silence. Leo wore dark clothes, his heart a drumbeat of fear and excitement. Every creak of the museum floorboards sounded like a shout. He moved through the familiar halls, his footsteps muffled. His destination was the small room at the end of the west wing. The girl with the starlight eyes seemed to glow in the faint moonlight. Her painted gaze followed him with quiet curiosity. Leo whispered an apology into the still air. With trembling hands, he lifted the painting from its hooks. It was lighter than he expected, as if made of air and dreams. Tucking it into a satchel, he felt a jolt of pure adrenaline. As he slipped back into the night, the world seemed sharper, more vibrant. He was Leo, the man who held starlight in a bag. Back in his apartment, Leo's excitement was a fire in his chest, burning brighter than it had in years. The world outside faded away, leaving only him and the painting, as if nothing else mattered. The girl's starlight eyes filled the room, transforming his space into something magical. The painting didn't just hang on the wall, it seemed to breathe, to pulse with a life of its own, casting a gentle glow that made the shadows dance. He couldn't stop looking at her, feeling he had pulled off the impossible. Each glance brought a rush of pride and disbelief, as if he'd stolen a piece of the night sky and brought it home. The loneliness that had haunted him for so long retreated, pushed back by the painting's glow. For the first time in ages, his apartment felt alive, filled with warmth and possibility. He talked to her for hours, pouring out his thoughts, secrets, and dreams. The painting became his confidant, a silent companion who listened without judgment, who seemed to understand his longing for connection. But as the thrill faded, fear crept in, slow and relentless. The reality of what he'd done began to settle over him like a cold fog, chilling the warmth the painting had brought. Every siren made him jump. Every knock sent his heart racing. The city's sounds, once background noise, now felt like threats closing in, reminders that his secret was never truly safe. The painting, once his greatest joy, became a source of anxiety. Its beauty was now tangled with guilt, its light casting long, accusing shadows. The secret felt like a heavy weight, a burden he carried alone. Each day, it pressed harder on his chest, making it harder to breathe, harder to remember why he'd taken it in the first place. The joy of possessing the painting tangled with the terror of being caught, twisting inside him until he could barely tell one feeling from the other. He was trapped in a cycle of longing and regret. He would wake up in the middle of the night, convinced police were breaking down his door, his heart pounding as he listened for footsteps in the hall. Her gaze felt different now, no longer just mysterious but knowing. It was as if she could see his fear, as if she understood the wrong he had done, and silently questioned him for it. The weight of that knowledge was becoming too much to bear. The secret isolated him, turning his sanctuary into a cell, and his prize into a constant reminder of his guilt. He realized, with a sinking heart, that he had trapped her, and himself, in a prison of his own making, both captives of a stolen dream that could never truly belong to him. The news of the theft broke the next morning. The museum director spoke of the painting's meaning to the community. Leo realized he hadn't thought about the others who found comfort in her gaze. He had stolen a shared dream, a bit of light from many. The guilt was a heavy cloak he couldn't take off. The girl's eyes now seemed to hold a quiet sadness. He had taken a star from the sky and put it in a box. That night, the painting's presence was a silent accusation. He realized true ownership of beauty wasn't about possessing it. It was about sharing it. By taking it, he had broken that connection. The empty wall in the museum reflected the emptiness in his heart. He finally understood that his stolen treasure could never fill it. A week passed, a miserable week. Leo barely ate or slept, trapped with his guilt. Then, one rainy night, he heard a soft knocking on his window. His heart leaped into his throat. He pulled back the curtain, but there was nothing there. He turned away, and his blood ran cold. The painting was gone, the space on the mantelpiece bare. Panic washed over him, but underneath was a flicker of relief. The weight of his secret was lifted. The painting was gone, and he was just Leo again, alone but free from the burden. The painting had vanished as mysteriously as it had appeared. He felt a strange mix of terror and relief. The painting's disappearance was a release, a second chance. The city buzzed with news of the painting's return. Headlines flashed across every screen, and people gathered in excited clusters, speculating about the mystery. The art world was abuzz, and even those who rarely visited museums found themselves drawn into the unfolding story. It was found at the museum's door, unharmed. No one saw who left it, and the security cameras only caught a shadowy figure slipping away before dawn. The painting seemed untouched, as if it had never left its rightful place. The city celebrated, the mystery adding to the legend. Fireworks lit up the night sky, and strangers embraced in the streets. Yet, in the midst of the joy, Leo couldn't understand it. He stood apart, lost in thought, wondering how such a thing could happen. It was as if the painting had decided to leave on its own. The empty space in the gallery felt haunted, and the returned painting seemed to glow with a secret energy, as if it carried a story no one else could hear. He remembered stories about the artist, Ilara Vesper. She was a legend in her own right, known for her mysterious methods and the almost magical quality of her work. He found an interview with her assistant, describing her belief in paintings as vessels. Ilara believed that art could hold more than just paint and canvas. It could capture emotion, memory, even a piece of the artist's soul. Ilara's final piece was her masterpiece of this philosophy. Critics called it her magnum opus, a painting that seemed to breathe and pulse with life, drawing viewers into its mysterious depths. She developed a special paint and a canvas with a heartbeat. The materials were rumored to be infused with rare minerals and experimental compounds, blurring the line between art and science. The knocking on his window was the frame shifting in the rainy air. Each tap seemed to echo the painting's restless spirit, as if it longed to move, to return to where it belonged. The painting hadn't stolen itself back through magic, but through forgotten science. Ilara's experiments had given her art a life of its own, a secret only a few ever suspected. It was a blend of science and poetry, a testament to the artist's vision. Her notes revealed a mind that saw no boundaries between logic and imagination, between the possible and the impossible. The painting's return was a lesson in second chances. It reminded everyone that art, like life, could surprise us, offering hope and renewal when least expected. It was an act of grace, a path forward for Leo. As he gazed at the painting, he felt a quiet promise, a chance to begin again, inspired by the mystery and wonder that art can bring. Armed with this knowledge, Leo knew what he had to do. The painting had given him a second chance. He couldn't undo the theft, but he could repair some damage. He bought a money order with all his savings. It wasn't much, but it was everything he had. He placed it in an envelope for the museum's restoration fund. This act was for him, a way to forgive himself. The next Tuesday, he returned to the museum. He was just another visitor, walking the familiar path. The room was crowded, filled with gratitude and relief. The shared dream was back where it belonged. Leo stood at the back, feeling unworthy but grateful. He understood her beauty was a gift to be shared. He finally felt the peace he had been searching for. In the months that followed, Leo began to change. The painting's return was a reset for his life. He started to see the world as something to be a part of. He volunteered at a local soup kitchen, connecting with others. He found beauty in people's stories, a new world of connection. The loneliness faded, replaced by shared smiles and conversations. He was Leo, the man who listened, who had a kind word. He visited the museum every Tuesday, a reminder of his lesson. He watched others admire the painting, feeling a kinship with them. The painting's power was in bringing people together. He was part of that now, by sharing, not taking. He found his place, standing with others who admired the beauty. His heart, once empty, was now full. The story of the girl with the starlight eyes became a legend in Leo's life. The empty frame taught him more than the painting ever could. Beauty is most brilliant when free, not captured. It is a conversation, not a monologue. Honesty is about being truthful with yourself. He had built his own cage of fear and selfishness. The first step to freedom was admitting he was wrong. The anonymous donation was an act of responsibility. The painting's return was a lesson in second chances. Regret can be a compass toward a better future. Leo chose to let it guide him. His life became a work of art, painted with connection and kindness. He found that the greatest treasures are shared moments of connection.